So you've got yourself a wireless microphone, but you're kind of confused on how it works and how you should set it up to best work for you and your device and how you teach. So if you are an online yoga teacher specifically, I know that this kind of information, this techie stuff, is not your first love language. It is not the thing that you're most passionate about. Unlike me, I'm a yoga teacher and also passionate about helping troubleshoot technology, software systems, and online business. I love it. I have a lot of programs regarding those topics, including a membership, all things you can check out. But today I just want to share some common mistakes that people make with wireless microphones. And whether it is the Rode brand or it is a different brand, these are very similar. By the way, if you're watching this in real time, so in like the first few days that it's published, go down to my link in the description and vote for me. I am up for the Rode Brand Creator of the Year, and I'd love to win the People's Choice category for the Health and Wellness category. So I'm in Health and Wellness, and it's not just like a simple click and vote. You do have to register for your email, but I would be so appreciative, especially if I've helped you with any technology or troubleshooting things in the past. It would just mean the world to me. So thank you so much. Go check that out. And if it's past that date, don't worry about that. Let's get into the mistakes. So first, what we need to know is how these actually work. So I just got the question recently was, which one is better, the TX or the RX? Which one should I use? You need both. So they're both important. It's not one or the other. You're not getting two devices here. This is a package deal. These have to go together. The RX stands for receiver, the receiver. This receives the messages and sends it to your computer or your phone or your camera. It receives, right? And the TX is the transmitter. This is what you talk into. Think of T for talking. T for microphone. Microphone, it's your microphone. And this gets a little confusing with this version of the Rode Wireless microphones, the Rode Wireless Me, because there's also a microphone on the receiver. What? That's a little different. And they did that because this specific one was meant to be used with a phone or a tablet or like a mobile device. And they wanted it so that you could just use one. So this one's a little different. So just knowing that though, you have to look at the RX and the TX. And the other difference is there's no display screen on the receiver, whereas every other microphone, there is this display screen. As you can, there you go, kind of see it. And that's how you know it's the receiver. The display screen is the receiver. So that's actually one of the common mistakes, is that people get these switched. So they'll plug in their microphone or transmitter and they'll try to use the receiver as the microphone. And that just will not work. They work together, but you can't flip-flop them back and forth. So make sure that you have the correct one set plugged into your recording device and the correct one as your microphone. And what's great is you can use it just as it is, as a microphone. You can also plug in, an additional lavalier that clips, which is cool. So yeah, it can get a little confusing because there's different holes here. Like this on the transmitter, the headphone jack is meant to be an external lavalier. On this one, on the receiver, the headphone jack is the AUX, the auxiliary input. So it's not for headphones. It's to put to plug it into your computer. Okay. So I know a little confusing, but that's the main thing, is make sure that you understand which one is which side goes to your computer and which side goes to you. Okay, beyond that, so now that we have that figured out, right? So like if you had this one, you know which one's the receiver, right? Display screen, receiver, microphone on top, transmitter. Okay, great. Now the next common mistake is incorrect cables, the incorrect cable setup. So we're not worried about the microphone or the transmitter. That is separate. That's going to be on us as long as the devices are paired together, which they usually are very easily. We're just going to set that aside. It's the receiver we're talking about here. A lot of people will have the incorrect cable setup. And unfortunately, Rode, the brand, did not do very well in telling people this. So it comes with this cable. Typically, you'll get this black to black cable. And this is great if you're using a GoPro or a camera or even a speaker that you want to amplify your voice. This cable is it. This goes into your receiver, plug it all the way in, and then it will go into your camera and you'll be able to receive the messages. But this doesn't work oftentimes for a phone or a computer. So what you'll do instead is there's an external cable that does not come with it, sold separately, unless you get the Røde Wireless Pro that comes with everything. But this one's sold separately. There's a couple off brands you could get too, but there's a gray side and a black side. And the black side goes into your receiver, and the gray side will go into either your phone or computer. But here's the thing. A lot of times you'll have to test it. It may not work to go directly into your computer, and your phone may not have a headphone jack. So that doesn't work. So what do? You get an adapter like I've got here. This adapter, which goes to USB-C to my computer. Headphone jack goes here. That's what I call it anyway. And this is a setup I use for my computer. For my phone, I would use the lightning cable adapter because I have an iPhone 12 and that's what I need. Now, if you have a newer phone that has the USB-C like this, maybe this cable would work. And this is just a cheap Amazon.com purchase. It was like $6. You don't have to get anything fancy for the adapter cables. You got to find what works for you. And many people think that you can just use the charging cables, right? You should be able to just use, plug in the receiver through USB-C, this charging cable, plug it into your computer or your phone. Technically, that does work, and that's great. You can sometimes. I don't like that method though, because then you cannot adjust the volume on your receiver, on the device itself, the decibel level, which I think is considered the volume. You'd have to adjust it in your computer, and I think it gets confusing. So I end up not using the charging cables when I'm using this with any device, and I go with this SC7 cable always. From the Rode store, it's $15. An off-brand one is like $6 to $9. So not bad. I would put this in your back pocket and have it anyway. So if you don't have one of these ones, these adapter cables or different ones, go get it. It's a TRS. There's 3 rings on the gray tip, 2 rings on the black tip. And so it transmits a little bit differently or just connects different. Don't ask me the technical jargon. I don't know. But I do know that the black side goes into the receiver and the gray side goes into your computer or your phone or the adapter. And so that's a common mistake people make, is they switch these 2 cables where they're just in wrong. And this is a big reason why I ask people to take a picture of their setup and send it to me. So I get a lot of people in my Instagram DMs saying, my microphone's not working. I don't know what the problem is. I did exactly what you said. And I say, great. Can you take a picture of it and show me how you have it set up? And more often than not, it's this cable that switched, or the TX and RX are swapped, or something entirely different, and I have them try a few different things and we get it working. I don't think there's ever been a point where we haven't gotten it working. And if that was the case, it was because the devices just wouldn't turn on, or they wouldn't charge, or for some reason it was a faulty device. So there's always gonna be a way that it can work. You get to test it, whether it's with the different cables, the different adapters. That is one of the most common mistakes, is not realizing that there are multiple ways that you can set up the cable so that you can try to make it work. All right. And you'll have to test it. Always test it. Okay. What else do we have? Oh, another one along with the cables. What I found is if you don't have them plugged all the way in, like it's just, part way in, or it's not quite in, hasn't plugged in. Like looks like it's in almost, but it's not. I have to plug it in just a little bit more. So if people can't hear you, or if you can't hear yourself back, check to see that these are snapped in all the way. And then we've got a few others, like, the microphones need to be charged, or your devices need to be charged fully. So it's got battery life. They're able to turn on, right? Have you turn it off and then on again? And then one of the next big ones, I don't know what number this is, 3, 4, or 5, is that you don't have it set in your systems. The output and the input is not correct. So once you plug in your microphone, it's not enough just to say it's plugged in, let's go. You actually have to set your microphone in whatever you're recording. Now that's different for a camera. Once you plug it into your camera or once you plug it into your phone, it kind of takes up the entire input. But with a computer, for example, there are multiple inputs. I can have multiple microphone options in one computer. Can't do that on a phone. So on my computer, whether it is on Zoom or QuickTime or any other place I'm recording, I have to set the input as my microphone and the output. So the speakers, what you're hearing is not set as your microphone. The output is set as your internal computer speakers, or maybe it's headphones. This device is not a speaker. You are not going to hear anything from it. So if you set the output as your microphone, the Rode Wireless whatever, or even this Blue Yeti mic I'm talking into, the outputs, I'm not going to hear anything back. So the output has to be set separately. There's input and output. Input is what's going in. It's your microphone. The output's what's coming back to you, which is your speakers. Those are set different, separate. So if you try to use this with a phone and it's plugged in the way that I've showed you with the different cables, you may not hear anything back until you unplug it. Okay, so you might talk into the microphone and make this wonderful video on your phone, and then you try to play it back and it doesn't work. It's probably because you just need to pull the cable out and then you can hear it from your phone. Okay, there's that. So that's one of the biggest things I see with online yoga teachers is not knowing how to set the audio, the input and output on Zoom. Because we use Zoom for a lot of things. And that's in the bottom right corner. There's this little triangle and you can go and set your input and your output, your microphone and your speaker. And so you'll just have to set those each time and make sure that they're set correctly. Otherwise, you're going to have a little bit of trouble or it's not going to be the right settings for you. Okay? And that's the same. Right now I'm recording with QuickTime on my computer. There's a little arrow right next to the record button I click on and I can set my camera and my microphone. There's no need to have a speaker. I don't have to set a speaker or the output because no one's talking back at me. But I get to set my camera and microphone, and my microphone is set then to the input that I prefer, whether it's wireless or it's, a different one. Okay, so check your settings, what the input and output is. And there are some specific settings I recommend for Zoom, but that's a different topic, so I'm not going to get super into that. I just want you to make sure that your microphone is set correctly. Okay, what other troubleshooting things would we have? Not fully charging, pairing issues. That's something that you can troubleshoot by looking at how to pair all that. That's easy to look up. We talked about improper placement of the receiver. Maybe it's behind your computer or something's blocking it. Forgetting to turn on both units, right? You got to turn them both on. The audio levels need to be adjusted too. So another thing that you can do with these microphones, the Rode Wireless microphones, and especially the Rode Wireless Me, because there's no display screen on this, you'll have to set the settings using an app called Rode Central. Rode Central. You can get that on your phone or on your desktop or computer. So I have it on my computer and I use Rode Central, and I'll oftentimes plug in the charging cables. That's how you get it to show up. And you'll sometimes have to update the firmware, and you can also change the settings of the decibel level, the gain, how many microphones are on, if you want this microphone on or not. You can turn that off or on, and you can decide some of those settings. So for the Rode Wireless Me, you'll definitely want the app, the software, and it's free. So just download Rode Central and you can make sure you have updates. If you've got the Rode Wireless Go 2 or the Rode Wireless Pro, you will also want the app to make sure that you keep it updated and good to go. And that's it. And the last mistake most people make, or they're failing to do, is you're not testing before you actually go and do the thing. So you think that you need all the settings, but you're not testing it first. So test. Always test it. Open up a second browser or another window, or hop on Zoom early so that you can test it. Do a quick voice recording and then play it back. I just did that before recording this. I actually tested how this sounded, so I knew that this space had good audio. So I tested it on like a 30-second clip of me talking, And then I just deleted that video. It was fine. And I'm here now just to make sure that everything was set correctly. So make sure that you're testing and don't rely on, your students or other people to tell you when your audio is off, because they may not. So test it first, get it right. And once it's set, make sure you're always coming back to check that the cables are plugged in, check that it's the correct way. And once in a while, yes, asking and saying, hey, if anything sounds off to you, let me know. Of course, you would hate to go through, an hour-long recording and then realize your microphone's not even plugged in. It's happened to all of us. It's happened to me many times. But those instances, those things happen, make us a better person for checking next time. You're going to remember that. I know you will. So if you come across something where you recorded something and the audio just was not there, you're going to remember that, and you're going to know you have to check next time. You'll troubleshoot that, and you'll do it again, and you'll be stronger because of it. All right, that was our little tech troubleshooting for microphones. This is something I actually do one-on-one and in groups in my membership, Ash's Academy, which is a membership for people who are starting a yoga business online or yoga, wellness, fitness, who are looking for systems and software and the support needed for all the tech stuff around running a business. That's what I help with. That's what I do. And we will frequently do tech troubleshooting Zoom sessions. And I find those to be so fun because I learn so much as well. So that's why I'm coming to you today to share these things. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. And again, I would appreciate so much if you voted for me in the Road Creator of the Year Awards. Voting goes through November 26th. If it's beyond that, don't worry about it. I hope this helped you, and I will see you next time.